When you see a tree and you want to judge what type of tree it is, what do? You look at the fruit on the tree. If it's a tree and you see that the fruit is an orange, then you know it's an orange tree. If you see that the fruit is an apple, it's an apple tree. If you see that the fruit is an olive, it's an olive tree. Or if you see it's a fig tree. This is how you go on and on and on. Because another way to look at the tree and judge what type of tree it is to look at the roots. But the roots are beneath the surface. To check the roots, you would have to dig up the roots and uproot the whole tree. But you don't have to go and uproot the tree to see what type of tree it is. Because the seeds, let me say, the tree came from a seed. Those roots came out of that seed. So that tree can only produce what's in line with the seed. So if it was an apple seed, you would get an apple tree. And it's not all about discerning what type of tree it is, because you can see if there are oranges on it, it's an orange tree. You can say that if it's an apple tree, if there's apples on it, it's an apple tree. You can see that. What about discerning the quality of a tree? Now, if you have an apple tree, for example, and there's a lot of wind, or maybe there are many insects around, and those insects tend to hang around the apples, then you can understand that due to the external circumstances, some of those apples may look horrible, or some of them may be bad, because some of them were the target of insects or from other animals. So that can happen. If you have a tree that some of the apples aren't good, or they may look bad. But if you take a sample, let's say I'm going to overreact now, let's say there are 300 apples on a tree. I know maybe that's an exaggeration, but let's say there are around 300 apples. And from here, from the first place, you take like 20 apples. It can be that from the 20 apples you've taken from the 300, like there are 4 that are bad. And you can see why they're bad is because insects targeted that apple. But even when insects target the apple, when you slice the apple in two, you can still see, oh, the pulp is healthy. When the pulp of the apple is healthy, it's a good apple. Maybe the apple isn't good anymore because it was a target, so externally it was deformed, but in general the quality of the tree is good because it produces good fruit, but the good fruit can be contaminated by external circumstances, but the fruit itself is good. If you go to a tree, you take that sample, but you notice that consistently all the pulp of all the apples are bad, then you know it's a bad tree. It's not due to external circumstances, just how the tree is. Look, if it's a good tree, a good apple tree, and you have some of the apples that became a bit brownish due to animals targeting them, even if you slice them in two and you break the apple in pieces, you can still see that the pulp is of good quality. And it's because it's of good quality that animals targeted that tree and targeted those apples. But if it's a bad tree, the apples can even if the apples would shine on the tree because they're so smooth. If it's a bad tree and you cut it, you see that the pulp is brown, the pulp is black, then you know, oh, this is a bad tree. It appears good, but it's not good. And here's the thing, if the apples are so good, then animals and insects and others would have chased it. But the fact that those apples look so good, but nobody chased them, that's a red flag. Why have I taken the time to explain this to you? When you're judging a situation or a circumstance where it is paranormal or where there is supernatural, you look at the fruit. Because you have the supernatural, that's what we call the spirit, and you have the paranormal that counterfeits and resists the supernatural. Those are the only two spiritual powers that exist. Well, the first one is power because it's natural, it's from the Holy Spirit. The second one It's more like a force because it's based on resistance. It's a counterfeit. Nevertheless, everything that unfolds on the earth either has a paranormal or a supernatural root. The origin is either paranormal or supernatural. It can't be both. And I already explained the paranormal functions in cycles and patterns. I'm not talking about natural cycles like the weather, that you have water in the seas and oceans, they vaporize into the air, they turn into clouds, and then they condensate, and then they fall to the ground as rain or as snow, and then two rivers, they stream back to the waters. I'm not talking about natural cycles, okay? I'm not talking about that you need to eat every day, and that's a cycle also. You need to eat to feed your body. I'm not talking about that. When it comes to patterns and cycles, paranormal patterns and cycles, I'm talking about routines. I'm talking about incidents that follow a sequence. When you notice a pattern over time, and no matter who's involved, it's a pattern working out, and it's paranormal. Straight up. When you see that the root of something is paranormal, then uproot it. Most people never learns to look at the bigger picture. They only see incidents. It can be that, let's say, you lived in New York, but you moved to LA. Then from LA, you moved to San Diego. And within San Diego, you moved a couple of times. Let's say that within 10 years, you moved 8 times already. And then when someone looks at your history, let's say you go to a job interview, and someone sees your resume, they can see, oh, you moved so often. But then the individual that is interviewing you will notice a pattern. He knows that every time you get a job and you're about to receive a full-time contract, or you're about to receive a long-term contract, you move. So this individual only saw your resume. He didn't even speak to you yet, but already noticed a pattern. Now what's going on? There's contention from the paranormal towards you that causes you to be uncomfortable wherever you are. And this discomfort that's caused by evil spirit works out to other people. So it happened in New York, then in LA, then in San Diego on multiple places. But you saw the incidents, you saw that neighbor acting out of line, or you saw that co-worker that began to throw out at you. You noticed the incidents, and you took action to get away from the contention. That's right, but you didn't notice the pattern. You didn't reflect back to see what was going on. Look, when you're driving a car, you look in front of you. You can't drive and you're turning your head and looking back. No, you need to look forward. But there are things coming after you. If there's a truck coming after you and the truck is not moving well, then you should be alert of it. Or if there's some drunk driver behind you that's about to drive into your car, then you have to move. But you can't look ahead and back at the same time. You only have eyes in front of your skull, right? That's why they designed a car that you have those mirrors. So while you're driving and you're looking forward, your brain captures what's in the reflection of the mirrors. And because of that, your brain reflects on what the reflection of the mirrors show to you. And if you see, oh, there's a car speeding towards me, oh, I need to move now. Or I'm about to turn left, but oh, suddenly this bike appears out of nowhere because that individual lost me attention traffic, no, I need to stop. Or maybe you're about to turn to the right, but a child suddenly runs down the street. And then you stop because or else there will be a car accident. So those mirrors are there to assist you and to enable you to reflect on what's besides and behind you. You need it while driving a car. Well, in life, you ought to reflect back, not look back, reflect back. So you're moving forward, and while you're moving forward, you're reflecting back, you're noticing things. Too often people don't reflect back and they don't notice things. That's why things keep haunting them and they end up enabling the thing that's haunting them. Again, when judging a tree, you check the fruit. Now, I'm not talking about literal physical trees here. That thing is easy. I'm talking about judging things spiritually. Is the root supernatural or is it paranormal? Examine it. Examine your relationships and examine what's behind those people. Because you have folks that have patterns that haunt them, but they don't want to face those patterns. They don't know, they want to talk about it. So evil spirits, due to their unwillingness to examine things, the evil spirits are enabled to use them to trap others. And think about it like this. If you went through a financial hardship or to any type of hardship, and now you're out of the hardship, and suddenly someone appears, someone you knew for a while, ask yourself, why is this individual appearing right then? Or it can be that over a course of like say 3 or 4 years, you notice that every time you are relaxed and at ease, someone appears. And you notice that after that individual appeared, suddenly there's all kind of contention, and when contention emerges, the individual is gone. Now you know that the individual is used by evil spirits to trap you in negativity. So now you see the pattern. Now you know that the root of that relationship is paranormal. So now you know what to do. You lower contact, if needed, you break contact. That's how you do it. Too many folks have been taught to do things by their own strength, by their own mind effort, by their own emotional effort, by their own physical effort, and by their own social effort. Look at the root. Look at the root. Agree with Christ to be at peace.